All right, so there are current developments within Ethiopia. For those of you unfamiliar, for the past 2 years, between 2020 and 2022, there was direct military conflict within Ethiopia between the ruling government and Tigray forces. So Tigray is a region within Ethiopia, and there's been fighting between militants within this region and the government. Last month, November 2022, negotiations led to a ceasefire effectively. Now, a final peaceful settlement hasn't been negotiated between the two parties, but let's read here, as the article is relatively short, just to further dive into these developments here. So, it says a joint committee of the Ethiopian government and Tigray forces convened inside the Tigray region to outline disarmament plans as part of a peace deal signed last month in the 2 year conflict. And it says that the peace agreement says Tigray forces will be disarmed within 30 days of the November 2nd signing, and Ethiopian security forces will take full control of all federal facilities, installations, and major infrastructure such as airports and highways within the Tigray region. However, Tigray officials say disarmament cannot start until Ethiopia's government has removed fighters who have come from Eritrea and the neighboring Amhara region. So, we certainly have to wait and see how these negotiations unfold. But at the very least, the fact that this is the first time that negotiations have been conducted within Ethiopia itself between the two parties, that certainly is a step in the right direction. Now, let's continue here. It says uh, one of the commanders of the Tigray forces last month told reporters that with these forces' continued presence, it is difficult to even think about a disarmament issue. So, from the perspective of the Tigray militants, they say that the government needs to pull out some its forces within their region before they adhere to the provisions within the negotiation, the provisional negotiation settlement there. Now, it says Ethiopian officials have not said whether fighters from Eritrea in the Amhara region are leaving Tigray. Neither is part of the peace deal. So, now that's interesting there, because this point of contention that the militants haven't been formalized within the peace deal itself. So that can certainly end up being a potential area of contention that could lead to a rupturing of the negotiations themselves. So certainly have to wait and see how this continues to development. But if the Tigray forces decide to push forward on this, and the Ethiopian government does not capitulate to that demands, then that could potentially lead to a breakdown in negotiations. Certainly a very critical moment within in Ethiopia as it relates to establishing a peace deal between the government and the Tigray militants. So hopefully both parties can have their respective needs met, so that the peace deal can be effectively adhered to by both parties. But if neither party is willing to capitulate, or if the Ethiopian government isn't willing to capitulate to these additional demands, it seems since it hasn't been complete, since these current concerns of the Tigray forces haven't been formalized in the peace deal, then we could see a resumption of fighting. So that is deeply concerning. Now, with that being said, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on Thursday on a visit to the country that there's been more casualties in the war than in Ukraine, which is incredibly disheartening to hear, giving all of the within any war, bloodshed is quite concerning. So the sooner a formalized peaceful settlement can be negotiated and adhered to, the better. But with that, what do you all think of this? Is this a step in the right direction, or is this merely superficial and continued a protracted conflict between the two parties is inevitable? Whatever your thoughts here, please leave your thoughts in the comments. Like if you like this video, dislike if you dislike this video. Have a wonderful day.